Okay, welcome to this lesson, and here I'm going to be explaining how to create any major or minor scale. So we already know how to make any major or minor chord using the 4-3 or 3-4 method, but with scales this is going to be a lot more useful because, like we already discussed, most of the music that you're going to go and learn has a key signature, which is another way of saying it's in a scale. So for you to instantly become more confident in learning and practicing that piece, you should know the scale. But there are loads and loads and loads of scales. Normally in traditional lessons, you would just be memorizing how to do it. So you just memorize that is D major, and you play it with those two black notes. There's not really any system to follow there. There's no theory being involved. And when they go to learn pieces, yes, because they know that scale off by heart, it is going to be much easier to learn and play that song. But the only issue is getting to that point of memorizing all those scales, because it takes a very long time. So alternatively, there's a formula in music theory that you can use to create any scale, no matter if it's the first time you play it or the 100th time you play it. So I'm just going to give it to you right now. To create any major scale, you need to follow TTS, TTTS. The T and S's stand for tone and semitone. So to demonstrate that this works, we're going to take C major, a scale that we already know how it sounds like. If this system works and we follow it, we should get that scale, note for note. So TTS, TTTS. You do not count the first note. You don't count the root that you're starting at. So this will be 0. I'm going to count a tone, so D, because this C sharp, that would be a semitone. So C, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So a bit faster, I'll go to my root note, whatever the name of the scale is that I'm trying to make. C. Okay. T, T, S, T, 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 S. So you can see that works. We'll do one more very quickly. We'll do A major. I'm going to A, and let's figure out how you play it. T, T, S, T, 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 S. So all together, you don't even have to play it with the fingering. If you're just trying to figure out the notes, then you can just play it like that. Now, if you're ever stuck on where to make the tone jump and where to make the semitone jump, just remember that 2 semitones is 1 tone. So for example, we want to make the A major scale, start on A. That's 0. Tone. Why is this a tone? Because this is 1 semitone, that's another semitone. So far we made 2 semitone jumps, which means 1 tone. So from A to B is tone. So T, T, so from B, this is 1 semitone, another semitone. So that's a tone. A, T, T, S, T, T, because there's 2 semitones here, T, 2 semitones here, S. So now we know that this strategy actually works. There is a system to this. Now let's introduce the minor formula. It's T, S, T, T, S, T, T. So I should have it on screen for you now, and let's check this through. So let's take A minor, which we already know how it's supposed to sound. We're not playing any sharps or flats here, and we know that's our goal, so let's apply this and double check that it works. So it's T, S, T, T, S, T, T. We go to A. T, S, T, T, S, T, T. Let's take a much more complex sounding scale. Let's go for C sharp minor. Okay, start on C sharp. Exactly the same principle. T, S, T, T, S, T, T. So all together, that would be the C sharp minor scale. You have no idea how much time this is going to save you. This method is going to be very useful in 3 major occasions. The first is when you're trying to practice a new scale and you want to find out what the notes are. You can use this. The second is when you're learning a song, when you're reading the sheet music, you're going to see that it's in a certain scale, and by being good at the scale, you're going to automatically get much better at the actual piece, because now your fingers know, okay, these are the notes I can play and anything else is not in that scale. So that takes your mind off of so much options, because now you're limited in your parameters. And the third biggest occasion that you're going to be using this for is when you're improvising or composing, because once you've decided on a scale, it's going to be very easy to improvise from there. But we'll talk more about that in that module. Now, by no means am I telling you don't practice scales anymore. Yes, of course, if you did apply this and you just figured out what the scale looked like, it's going to benefit you. But there are so many benefits to actually practicing the scale itself. You have better independent finger strength, which is a huge, huge deal, because that's going to allow you to play the more complex, more beautiful sounding rhythms and melodies a lot easier. Your fingers are already used to moving in a certain pattern. They're already used to making these transitions with the thumb going underneath and then continuing. These are things you come across a lot. And once you have developed the muscle memory to do that, playing them in actual songs or improvising makes it a lot easier. Everything goes a lot smoother. It's also a really great warm-up. By actually playing and passively memorizing how to do it, you're building very slowly a bank of scales that you become quite confident in, and that is going to serve you very, very well. So, although you can use this technique to just create any scale, don't just neglect actually practicing it, okay? Because I know that is very tempting, but trust me, you don't want to just skip out on this. So we're going to do an exercise here where I'm going to name you a scale and you're going to create it and play it. That's going to kind of help you set this in stone into your mind about how this works and how universally applicable this is. I'm going to do a quick example of what we're going to be doing together. I will name a scale like B flat major. So what you're going to do is go to B flat and you're going to apply the correct formula to make the right tonality of the scale. So I'm not asking for B flat minor, I'm asking for B flat major. So you're going to be doing TTS, TTTS. If you want to remember these formulas more easily, I personally memorize better through sound. So for me, it helps when I think of it like TTS, TTTS. And then for minor, T, STT, STT. That's how I remember it. But you can also do it just by visual. Like you can picture the pattern itself in your mind and see how it's laid out. So for example, with a minor especially, you just have a T at the beginning and then it's STT, STT. It just repeats in a very easy way to remember. So for B flat major, we're doing a major scale, so you're going to apply the major formula. We're going to go to B, T, T, S, T, 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 S. Then you're going to play that with the correct fingering. So right hand is going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then come back down if you can. So I want you to try constructing and playing E major scale. Pause the video now, have a go, and then unpause when you're ready. Okay, so E major, we'll go to E. We're using TTS, TTTS. T, T, S, T, 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 S. We'll do one more, and then I'm going to give you your tasks. So I want you to make an E flat major scale. Pause the video now and then come back when you're ready. Okay, so E flat major. That's what that sounds like. So hopefully you got some of that right, and if you didn't, that's fine. It just comes down to practicing this process more. But just in case it was a small mistake that led to everything else being wrong, remember that the first note you start on, you do not count it, so that you can count that as 0. So if you're making a B flat major scale, B flat, call that 0. Then T, that would be the T. And the other thing, remember that 2 semitones is 1 tone, and make sure you're counting carefully. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Your tasks are basically a list of some scales I'm going to give you, specifically ones that you haven't practiced that much from the other lesson, and you're just going to be constructing and playing them with your right hand and your left hand separately. Your extension, and this is going to be really an extension, I would avoid practicing this unless you're very, very confident with the right hand and left hand separately. But I'm going to give you the following compulsory scales to play right hand and left hand separately. So you're doing G minor, E minor, C sharp major, and B major. I'm not going to play them because I want you to actually construct them. I don't want you to just copy from what I'm doing. So if you follow that formula, and obviously making sure you have actually 8 notes in the scale, then you should be fine. Practice it slowly, one hand at a time, and your extension is to do that both hands at a time. Now this is going to be a huge step for like 99% of people, because some of these are going to be more complex scales, and playing them two-handedly takes a bit more time than the easier scales that we started off with. So don't feel like you have to do that. Make sure you're not moving on to the next lesson until your primary tasks are done. Okay, good luck, and I'll see you soon.